These Hudson locomotives were designed by Chief of Motive Power and Rolling Stock Henry Blaine Bowen, were considered to be the cream of CPR passenger engines. The boiler sat on a General Steel Castings one-piece locomotive bed. In addition to Alesco's Type E superheater and BK automatic stoker, the engines used an American multiple throttle. The 1930 set continued the Bowen-Hudson design with slight differences. Railway age in 1931, reported on a 130-mile, 209 kilometers, test run in which an H1 pulled a 19-car, 1,652-ton train. It's a summary of contemporary steam worked to its limit. Average steam pressure 274 psi, feedwater temperature 222 degrees Fahrenheit, and average superheat temperature of 675 degrees Fahrenheit. The report also claimed that the smooth and easy riding qualities of this design meant the engine crew felt no discomfort even when traveling at average speeds of 90 to 95 miles per hour, 145 to 153 kilometers per hour. The valve gear had a short throw of the eccentric and a long link and minimum working angles to ensure an easy and smooth working valve motion. The 14-inch valves had a maximum travel of 7. One detail of the design were baffle walls under the rosebud pinhole grate and over the ashpan that diverted incoming air downward toward the center. Working in combination with 38.5 square feet of arch tube spaced to offer a wide brick span in the center and narrow ones at the side, the baffles kept cool air away from the sides, which reduced temperature differences and cracking. Much attention was paid during running to maintain an even temperature in the firebox. The 464 Hudson semi-streamlined locomotive was a workhorse for the CPR Railway from 1937 through to the end of the steam era in the early 1960s CPR when they converted their fleet to diesel-electric locomotives. With trains getting heavier and longer, the CPR needed to replace the 462 Pacific locomotives that were proving to be underpowered and too slow on long runs. In 1937, CPR ordered 30 new semi-streamlined Hudson locomotives. These were the first of the locomotives that would eventually become known as Royal Hudsons. In 1939, King George VI and his wife Queen Elizabeth visited Canada for a 31-day tour of the country. This was the first time a reigning monarch had visited Canada. A special 12-car royal train was put together for them to use on their cross-country trip. Both national railways shared the honor of transporting the monarchs. The CPR was tasked with transporting them on their 5,189 kilometers, 3,244 miles, trip from Quebec City, QC to Vancouver, BC. The 2850 Hudson was only 5 months old at the time when it was chosen to pull the royal train. It was repainted specially for this trip. The smoke box was painted black. The running boards, cab panels, and side panels on the tender were painted royal blue instead of the standard Tuscan red. The drive cylinders and the boiler were covered in polished stainless steel instead of the gray they were usually painted. The running gear and frame were also painted royal blue. There were polished aluminum panels added to the tender to match the side panels on the cars. Royal arms were cast in relief to be placed on the train. One was placed above the headlight, and the other two, which were 4 foot high, were placed on either side of the tender. A set of polished, cast brass numerals denoting 2850 were set on both running boards. The CPR shield remained on either side of the cab. The Hudson 2850 led the train for the entirety of the western leg of the trip. As an avid rail fan, the king rode in the cab of the locomotive whenever possible. He was impressed by the power and how mechanically sound the Hudson was. He was also impressed with the fact that one locomotive could handle their train without changing engines. The Royal train went through 25 crew changes on its cross-Canada journey. The Hudson performed flawlessly with no mechanical breakdowns or any mishaps during the journey. The trip went so well that soon after, when the CPR petitioned the royal family for permission to include Royal in its name, the royal family agreed. From then on, all semi-streamlined Hudsons that the CPR ran were to be known as Royal Hudsons. All Royal Hudsons were permitted to have the imperial crown on their running boards. The 2850 Royal Hudson, used for the Monarch's trip, continued in service until 1960. It was retired and is currently preserved and on display at the Canadian Railway Museum, located in Delson/St. Constant, QE.